Hey, I'm Mark Andriani, and this is the Echo Collective. Now, if you've ever found yourself thinking like you believe in God, but you're not always sure how to hear Him, or you want your life to reflect something deeper, but you don't know where to start, or even like, I keep trying, but I definitely don't have it all together, then I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're in the right place. The Echo Collective is a space for people on this journey, this messy, beautiful, still figuring it out journey. It's for the family driving home from church where the sermon was good and it sparked something, but the conversation in the car stalled it. Like, what'd you think? And it's for parents who want to raise kids with faith and compassion in a culture full of noise and pressure. And it's for families who love Jesus but haven't been to church in a while because weekends are just full. And it's for college students that are walking to class with questions about who they are and who God is. It's for people that are sojourners, people walking a spiritual path with curiosity, honesty, and maybe a little hesitation. And it will always be family friendly. You can listen with your kids in the car or your grandparents at the dinner table. There's no perfect answers. There's no pressure to perform. There's just space to slow down, pay attention, and listen to the voice of Jesus and let that voice shape the way that we live. Now let's start with a powerful line from John chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. Now I know the shepherd metaphor feels a little ancient, but stick with me. Jesus is talking about recognition and response. The word listen in the Greek is akouo. It's where we get the word acoustics, but it's not passive. In the biblical sense, akouo means more than sound entering your ears. It's hearing in a way that actually does something to you. It shapes your next step. It's not just sound, it's like resonance reverberating in your brain. It's not information, but it's transformation. And that's the heartbeat of this podcast. Jesus is still speaking, and we're learning how to listen. Not just to hear his words, but to let those words read us and challenge us and shape us and eventually echo through the way we live. Now, I remember one of the first times I felt the tension between someone claiming to speak for God and the actual voice of Jesus that I'd come to know. And it was 20 years ago, and it was in the Huntington Beach Pier, and there was this guy, and he was standing on a box with a megaphone, and he was yelling and holding up signs that said, "Turn or burn," and then another sign said, "You're going to hell." Now, thousands of people are walking by, families, tourists, kids, and he was just shouting condemnation, and something in me just absolutely froze up. I remember thinking, if this is what people think Christianity is, I wouldn't blame them for walking away. Now, I don't know the man's story. I don't know his motivations, and honestly, I don't know what had brought him to the pier that day, but I do remember what stood out to me. I didn't hear Jesus. I didn't hear mercy. I didn't hear invitation. I didn't hear the kingdom of God. And that eventually made me ask a much more uncomfortable question, which is like, what am I echoing into the world? Because everybody echoes something into the world. We echo the voices that we let in. Social media, culture, fear, pressure, ego, the people around us, the stories we've been told, even our assumptions about God and the Bible that we've carried around for years without ever stopping long enough to examine them. And what if we slowed down long enough to hear something else? What if our lives began to echo grace and love when people expect revenge, or courage and justice when circumstances are really unfair, authenticity in a world that's addicted to image, peace when everything around us is chaotic? Because this is the life that Jesus invites us into. Love your enemies, forgive people, care for the poor, stop pretending, give your stuff away generously, trust God, pay attention to the people that everybody else walks past. And here's the thing, a lot of those teachings are really, really familiar, maybe too familiar, because we've heard the stories and we've read the verses. We think we know what they mean. But sometimes these old familiar stories become old familiar assumptions. And part of what we're going to do here on the Echo Collective is to slow down long enough to notice what we might have missed. Not because we're trying to find something new, but because I'm increasingly convinced that the scriptures are deeper than we ever possibly could have imagined. So before we finish up, I want to leave you with the question that started all of this for me, which is, what are you echoing? What voices are shaping your life right now? And maybe even more importantly, are those voices beginning to sound like Jesus? That's the question we're going to keep coming back to around here. Not just, what do I believe, but what is shaping me? Who am I becoming? And whose voice am I learning to recognize? Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this, you can listen to all of it on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave a rating, follow the show, reviews, all that good stuff. That's all algorithms and everybody needs that stuff to discover this stuff. But I'm Mark, and this is the Echo Collective. Thanks for being here. Grace and peace to you all.